Hey, let's take a look at dealing with our anger, part 2. In the first video, we looked at several principles. We looked at controlling our anger, being in control, being able to control it at least for 10, 20 seconds, to say, hey, excuse me, I'm getting pretty angry. I need to step outside. I need to go for a walk or something like that. And then go be angry as you want out by yourself. And we also looked at dealing with our anger alone, out back in your yard, in the garage, in your room. Dealing with your anger alone with God. If you're a spiritual person and you need to go talk to God about it, away from living creatures. So away from the person you're angry at, away from kids, away from your pet. You don't want to yell, blame anyone. You just want to get away, deal with your anger alone by yourself. We also talked about 3 ways to deal with your anger. We talked about cooling your anger, cooling the heated hot under the collar, steaming anger, just cooling it off by taking a walk or playing an instrument. Also, we talked about redirecting our anger off of living creatures and onto, say, an inanimate object that you're not going to hurt, like a punching bag. Or you could go out maybe and shoot a gun at a target. You could go to a gun range and shoot. You could shoot a bow and arrow at a target. Helps you deal with your anger, redirecting it in that way. Third, we talked about last time slow burning the anger. You contain the fire, you contain the anger, and let it burn in on itself until it kind of goes away. And it does, it always goes away. Most people get over their anger in a certain amount of time. So it might start out taking you a couple of hours. You get down to 45 minutes, maybe 20 minutes. Maybe before long you can get rid of your anger in 10, 15 minutes. Which is kind of nice. You just step outside, cool off, relax, breathe a little bit, and then you can come back inside and deal with whatever the problem was without being so angry. I'd like to talk with you about the Emmanuel principle. In the Bible, it's used to refer to Jesus, who came to be with us on this earth. I use the Emmanuel principle when I'm in the car here in Albuquerque, driving down the streets, and people are cutting me off or flying past me going 20 miles an hour over the speed limit, or they're in the fast lane going 10 miles an hour below the speed limit, and I start getting frustrated, even angry, and it helps me to think of God in the passenger seat next to me. I stay back, I let people merge into traffic, I just let people get on by and do their thing while I'm just driving along trying to be a good driver, a defensive driver, a polite driver. I suppose if we were in our house and we were angry at someone, our spouse or a friend or the kids, and they said unkind things to us, we would want to say unkind, hurtful things back, but to remember that God is in the room with you, watching, can help us to think, oh boy, I don't want to say that, I don't want to blame or accuse or yell, in front of my kids or something like that. It would be helpful. Which brings me to the last principle, the final principle here. I call it the cultivating principle. By cultivating, I mean we might read a book about forgiveness. If we're really struggling, with our temper, we might read a book or do a study or an online class on dealing with our anger, and begin to cultivate the right principles, the right character traits in our life. We're trying to rid ourselves of the bad ones, right? Blaming, accusing, yelling, cursing, trying to rid ourselves of those, and we want to replace those negative principles, negative character traits with positive ones like compassion and mercy and humility and forgiveness. These are just ways to deal with our anger and in the end, cultivate different principles, practice different principles in our own life to become a better person and not get so angry over some of the small things in life like traffic.